Hi, everyone. Today's truism is that the metrics that made sense in the past don't necessarily hold today. And once again, that sounds obvious, right? But if it's so obvious, then why am I still in 2022 sometimes on the receiving end of folks being frustrated because time on site or time on a page within a web application isn't long enough, or because they can't accomplish a goal in one click or one action? In some cases, those are still valuable metrics, but they're not the universal badges of honor that they once were. And depending on the context, they actually now might be predictors of problems. So, technology continues to morph and change, obviously. And on top of those platforms, the use cases multiply and evolve exponentially, often in ways that designers, developers, and product owners can't even predict. So, my chief counsel here would be to regularly revisit the success metrics that you're tracking and make sure that they're still valid and truly indicative of success. There are a lot of examples that I could share here, but the two that we'll go with are the ones that I've already mentioned. And I'll show you what it looks like in context. So, Think Company has redesigned and designed from the ground up many medical information portals for pharmaceutical companies. So basically, web applications for healthcare professionals provided by a pharmaceutical company where they can get detailed information on drugs, usage, dosing in various scenarios, side effects. And for one of these in particular, after we started piloting our work and measuring performance, there was a significant drop in time on site. So, time spent on a specific page, the amount of pages visited, and even repeat visitors. So, we were thrilled by this, and it's actually what we predicted. But as sometimes happens, a senior stakeholder got hold of the data without this context and was very upset by this development. But what we were building, it wasn't one of those gotcha sites that elaborates on a story over the course of like 40 pages, getting all those clicks so that it can sell advertising space. We were building a tool for medical professionals. The success metrics are just different. So, to address the concern, we actually asked a doctor from our research efforts to join us and provide some first person context. And I remember her saying, yes, I am absolutely spending less time on your site. And the reason for that is because for the first time ever, you're actually giving me what I've asked for, a search function that actually works and gives me a smart single page response to my question instead of a 75-page PDF and an assurance that my answer is in there somewhere, which is still a common practice, actually. And I don't have to click around to multiple pages trying to find what I'm looking for in a taxonomy that aligns to how you think about the product, but not how I do my job. And furthermore, no, I'm not coming back to the site multiple times a week. And that again is because I was able to find what I was looking for the first time. But I am coming back, and that's because I now know that when I have a question, I can get it answered here effectively and efficiently. Nice work. So as you can imagine, we went from zeros to heroes pretty quickly in that boardroom. Um, let's do the other one. Everything needs to be one click away. This one we hear even more often still. In theory, that makes sense, right? But even in the early days of the web, and perhaps you experienced this on one or more corporate intranets as well, where it ran rampant, this led to the phenomenon of all departments, all functions, all products, all services, all wanting to be surfaced at the very top. Be that the home page or nestled into a dreaded perpetual mega menu, right? But the human mind doesn't work like that. It's not about fewer clicks or actions. It's about smarter ones. So here's a super simple analogy. If you wanted someone to find a specific card within a 52 card deck, the one action method would be to lay them all out on the table, and then it would take one action to pick the desired card, right? That would probably be easier if the cards were arranged logically and in order, but the kind of logic that's inherent in a deck of cards is not often present when it comes to menu items. So let's assume that they are instead scattered randomly. Now imagine a person who is tasked with continuing to find a new card in that scenario with only one action, competing against someone else who must take four actions. First selecting color, then suit, then whether it's a card 1 through 8 or a card 9 through ace, and then selecting their card, right? In practice, over time, the person taking 4 actions will smoke the person taking 1 because the choices they're being asked to make are smart, logical actions, and they get them closer to their goal. So it's the difference between red, diamonds, 9 through ace, jack of diamonds, as opposed to, right, you get the point. So these are simplistic examples, I know that, but for that one, think about the complex databases and applications of today, right? If there was no way to navigate Spotify other than every artist being at the top level, Amazon doesn't even lead with product categories anymore because there are far too many of them to be scannable and really provide a valid use case. So, there and on Netflix and other places, they try to induce smart actions based on personalized recommendations, what's trending, what's exclusive, what's new, what you've done before. And this also gets into the whole concept of the tyranny of choice. And don't get me started on that, but the research shows that too many choices actually grinds the ability of a person to make a decision to a halt. Humans complete goals more quickly and more consistently without bailing when the choices they are given are limited and elaborative in nature over time. So think about, when you're doing your taxes with TurboTax. Sure, their goal is to try to make that happen in as few actions as possible overall, but their goal is also for you to do it correctly. So the choices in front of you are always limited, with all of the possibilities and permutations surfaced only once a user self-selects that those scenarios apply. And the entire time, there's education and elaboration to give the user confidence that they're successfully navigating a process, not whipping through getting done quickly, but having no confidence in the result. I could do this all day, but let's not, right? Like so many things in your personal and professional life that need to be periodically reevaluated, don't assume that the metrics that once made all the sense in the world are still relevant in today's world, or that they're appropriate for the context of your product. The metrics that made sense in the past don't necessarily hold today.